Combat is one of the main aspects in Hypixel Skyblock. Whether it's in dungeons, Kuudra, or even simply killing cows and pigs on the farming island, combat is pretty imperative. Now, within combat, of course, you have bestiary. And bestiary basically measures how much of each mob throughout Skyblock you've killed. For instance, if you're wondering, I don't know, how many shadow assassins you've killed in dungeons. Well, previously you might have had to guess, and of course, bestiary's been a thing for a while, but it's very easy just to basically check. I've killed 363. Now, most people gain bestiary levels and milestones just purely from playing the game. The further into the game you progress, the more mobs you'll come across, therefore you'll, basically just progress through bestiary at your own pace whenever you progress through the game. People who have a very high Skyblock level and have pretty much done everything else in the game actually then have to grind bestiary because they can't get Skyblock XP really from anything else. But that got me thinking, and along with a suggestion, what are the best bestiaries to do? And for that case, what are the worst bestiaries to do? Well, there's quite a few different things you have to consider, and of course this is completely subjective. But how can we measure how good a certain bestiary is? Well, you've got to consider how easy it is to actually max out the bestiary, how many kills you need and how long that will take. Also, how easy it is to find a specific mob. For instance, there might be one shadow assassin that spawns in every dungeon. Therefore, realistically, if you're going for Shadow Assassin Bestiary, it's going to take a while to max, just purely because, well, you've got to go into a new dungeon to then get a new Shadow Assassin. Whereas maxing something like Ghost Bestiary has a ridiculous amount more volume you actually need to kill, but at the same time, they're much more readily available. You don't have to wait a long time for a ghost to spawn, there's a constant stream of them. You've also got to consider how much money you can make along the way. Also, is there something else that you could be doing at the same time? So by you're not actually straight up grinding the bestiary, maybe you're doing a slayer and also, maybe having the chance of dropping something good, but at the same time completing your bestiary. Well, here we have a tier list. A tier list that goes from S+ all the way down to L. We also have every single bestiary mob in the game. So what we're going to do is put all of these mobs into the tier list. That way we can consider pretty much everything and decide maybe what the best bestiaries are to do and what the worst ones are. Like I said before, this is going to be subjective. And I can already tell some people are going to get angry, but it is what it is. It's just a bot game. So before we get into it, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS. It gets yourself 5% off. You should subscribe to the channel if you watch the videos and you haven't subscribed. Please make sure to do so. You should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We have for slayers and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. The first mob in the list is the Phantom Spirit, and to be completely honest, I didn't know what a Phantom Spirit was until about 20 seconds ago. Turns out somebody does not pay attention when they're doing the Spooky Festival. In terms of drops, the best thing you can get is of course the Midnight Die with a ridiculously low chance of dropping. Everything else is pretty standard of a Spooky Festival mob. It does only spawn in certain areas like the Graveyard, Wilderness, Obsidian Sanctuary, Spider's Den. During the Spooky Festival, it also has a 3.57% chance of being spawned from a trick-or-treat chest. You need 750 kills to max out the bestiary. I've already got 11, and I forgot this even existed, so it can't be that difficult to max. You just simply play the Spooky Festival. Now, I don't often do that, so I guess this kind of adds up. It's nothing special, you've got a small chance of dropping a really cool die, but, however, you have to wait till the Spooky Festival, so it might be a little bit annoying to wait around. It's pretty standard, to be honest. I'm going to put it in C. It's not amazing and it's not terrible. I'm not going to give an explanation for all of these mobs, otherwise we'll be here for absolute ages. I'm just going to kind of go through them and, yeah. Scary Jerry's really quite similar to the Phantom Spirit, so I'm going to have to put them in the same category. Then we've got the Trick or Treater, which I'm going to put in C as well. We've got the Gold, which I'm going to put in C. And we've also got the Wraith, I'm also going to put in C. Okay, we have the Angry Archaeologist. Doesn't really have anything of note that you would want to drop from it. And you also need 3,000 kills to max out its bestiary, which, give or take, means 3,000 dungeon runs. Now granted, when you do the dungeon run, you don't have to think, oh, I must kill the Angry Archaeologist. If you're going to do a ton of dungeons anyway, then it's just going to happen as you do dungeons. But I can't put it any higher than a C, because you just simply can't really drop anything from it. But it's not bad, because you can kind of do it passively. Okay, the Dungeon Bat. It doesn't drop anything of note. Sometimes they have a tendency just to simply not spawn. The bestiary to max it is 1,000, so it's not as bad as an Angry Archaeologist in that sense. However, it's just annoying. It's just an annoying one to do. And once again, it's one of those ones that you can probably do relatively passively. Just playing dungeons and you know, plodding along. If you kill some bats, you kill some bats. It's not something that you probably go for. It's something that you do maybe if you're going for the bestiaries of everything else in dungeons. But it's not terrible, but bats are just annoying to kill, and for that reason, I'm putting it in D. Like I said, it's not the worst. It could be E, and it could be a straight-up L. Okay, now onto the cellar spider. Of course, from dungeons again. The cellar spider is the spider that appears invisible and immobile until a player walks close. It will then basically drop on top of you and start hitting you. However, they're really easy to kill. They don't really drop anything of note. It's pretty standard. It's just going in C. Okay, Crypt's Dreadlord. It's a Dreadlord. It drops a Dreadlord sword, which is no longer obviously very good. However, Dreadlord sword is a bit of a classic. It's just, once again, it's not a difficult mob to kill. It's just going in C. Crypt's Lurker, standard again. It's just another mob that you can do the bestiary of passively while you're playing dungeons. It's not massively difficult to kill. It's just pretty standard. They're pretty abundant as well. It does have, you know, you have to kill 25k, but they're literally all over the place. Crypt Soul Eater, it's just another one. It's going in C. It drops a Soul Eater's bow. Nobody wants it. It doesn't really drop anything else. They're pretty abundant. It's just passive. Okay, so Fells. Fells are notoriously annoying to kill. They do a lot of damage. Yeah, they are just straight up annoying to kill. They have the chance to drop a Fell Sword, which, you know, could potentially be good. However, it would be pretty much a disservice if I wasn't to put a Fell in a lower category than every other normal dungeon mob, because it's so annoying to kill. You know, when you see one of these running towards you and you just can't seem to hit them, there's nothing more terrifying than an upside down Enderman. Floor 6 golems. Well, first of all, you have to be doing floor 6, which isn't too difficult. They have a chance to drop ancient roses that you can sell for a couple of 100k. Unless you're doing floor 6 at a point where you shouldn't really be doing it, they are quite easy to kill. You know what they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. I'm putting the floor 6 golem in a B. I'm putting it in a B because it's just so satisfying to kill them. To be completely honest, everything that I've put in D could quite easily be in C and in B and C as well, but I don't want to just put everything in C. Also, for golems, if you just do a decent amount of floor 6, it's going to happen. You don't really need to concentrate. The actual, you only need 1,000 kills, which isn't really a lot. Alright, next we have King Midas. Now, King Midas, you know, the Midas room, the gold room doesn't spawn in every dungeon. You need 750 kills to max out the bestiary. You have a 1 in 100 chance to drop a Midas jewel. Now, Midas jewels these days are dirt cheap. The King Midas itself is actually pretty easy to kill. I'm going to put it in a C. It's not terrible, it's not bad. Once again, it's just another thing you can do passively when doing dungeons. Yeah, it might take a little bit longer, maybe because you might get unlucky with Midas room simply just not spawning, somebody else trying to kill him and so on, but even when you get a loot share, you still get the bestiary. It's not too bad. We've got a lowly spider. Doesn't really drop anything, it's just going in C. It's just going in C. It's not really that bad. It's not really that good. Doesn't really drop anything. It's passive again. Okay, so we have a Lost Adventurer. Of course, you can drop frags if it's a Superior Lost Adventurer. You might even be able to make a few 100k, which isn't too bad. You only need 3k kills to actually max out the bestiary, which really isn't too bad. They're not really too difficult to kill unless you're underleveled to the floor. I'm going to put it in a B, because once again, it's still passive, plus you have the opportunity to make a few 100k. Just fun to kill them. Okay, next up we have a Mimic. Well, it doesn't really, it's guaranteed to drop a Mimic fragment, which is worth practically nothing. And also, it's skinned as a baby zombie, which means it's instantly going in, well, it's going in D, it's not C. If you have a Hyperion, it doesn't matter, but if you're using a sword or a bow, then it can become a little bit annoying. I mean, especially for me, I just end up missing it. The same goes, it's pretty standard though, like, you know, it's just passive while playing dungeons, but it can be annoying. Okay, we have the Scared Skeleton. It has the possibility to drop a bone die because it's a skeleton, however, that is very low. A Scared Skeleton actually runs away from you rather than engaging with you. I think you need 4,000 kills to actually complete the bestiary. It's going in C, it's pretty standard. It's not, you don't need to kill a massive amount of them, you don't need to pay attention, you just need to play dungeons and you'll get it done. Shadow Assassins. They have a 4% chance to drop a Silent Death, which might as well not even be a drop. They spawn in most runs. They can be a little bit annoying and difficult to kill, but at the same time it can be quite satisfying if you're underleveled. All in all, it's pretty standard. You don't need to kill a massive amount of them to complete the bestiary. It's not absurd, it's going in C. Okay, next we have Skeleton Grunt, Skeleton Lord, Skeleton Master, Skeleton Soldier. All of them you have a chance at dropping a bone die. You also have a small chance of dropping a machine gun bow, which is kind of free at this point. You also have a chance of dropping Skeleton Grunt armor from Skeleton Grunt, Skeleton Lord armor from Skeleton Lord. You get where this is going. None of them have really crazy massive requirements in terms of how many you need to kill to max the bestiary. They all spawn relatively frequent, and for that reason, they're all going in C. They're all kind of passive when you're doing dungeons. It's pretty straightforward. So Skeletor, once again, you have a chance at dropping a bone die. It's just more of the same as all the other skeletons that we've just gone through. It's going in C for the same reasons. And same for the sniper. It's the same again. You've got a chance of dropping a bone die. It's not got massive amount of requirements to kill in terms of maxing the bestiary. Sure, the Skeletor and the Sniper can be a little bit annoying when you're underleveled because they do deal quite a lot of one-hit damage. However, we can't really assume that you're underleveled. Super Archer, once again, you've got a chance of dropping bouncy armor. It's a skeleton, so follows the same trends as everything else. It isn't a crazy high amount that you need to max the bestiary. It's more of the same. They're not really too difficult to kill. They can deal a lot of damage, once again. However, most people don't really have a problem with them. When they shoot arrows, the arrows can bounce between, well, enemy to enemy, so player to player. Tank and super tank zombies, we're going to put them both in C, because you can drop, the zombie tank armor. Heavy and super heavy, they're not really too difficult to kill unless you're underleveled. It's the same again. It's kind of passive when you're doing dungeons. Majority of these mobs are okay to kill. Now, terracottas can be notoriously kind of annoying. In normal floor 6, they don't really pose a challenge. In Master Mode floor 6, they can be a little bit more difficult. Or maybe that's just because I've always been unleveled when I've been doing Master Mode. However, one thing that is sure is if you're killing terracottas, it also means that you're doing floor 6. So you have a chance to, well, get some pretty decent items at the end. So, all in all, I'm going to put it in C. Undead. Now, of course, these are the undeads from the floor 5 boss fight. Floor 5 is a decent floor. It's not too difficult. It's pretty straightforward. If you get to the undead phase, that means that you're not really far away from finishing the run. It doesn't really have a massively high requirement in terms of amount you need to kill. It's just pretty standard. It's not difficult. It doesn't really reward you that much from the actual mob. However, it does mean you're doing floor 5, so you have the chance of dropping some relatively decent stuff. It's pretty standard, really. Undead skeleton, it's just like any other skeleton that you're going to kill in dungeons. You don't really drop anything from it. It's not difficult to kill. It's passive. You're going to basically just complete the bestiary if you do enough dungeons, and that's it. Okay, so we have the Wither Guard and the Wither Miner. Both of these mobs spawn in floor 7. And yeah, once again, they're relatively easy to kill. They don't drop anything really other than having the chance to drop bone die. Once again, if you do floor 7, you're basically just going to complete this bestiary if you do enough floor 7. It's nothing crazy. They're not difficult to kill. They're going to go in the C category because that's where they belong. Now, Wither Husk is different because Wither Husks can only spawn in Master Mode floor 7, which means they're just going to be more difficult to kill. Having said that, I'm not supposed to be assuming that things are more difficult to complete just because I will be underleveled. If you were, good enough to do Master Mode floor 7, then I'm sure these would be pretty easy. However, majority of people who play the game aren't at that level. So I'm just going to put it in a D because it's pretty standard once again, but you have to be able to do Master Mode floor 7. Wither Mancer, it's going in C for the same reasons of what I've basically already been saying. You have a chance of dropping a bone die. You have a small chance of dropping a conjuring, but that's basically free. Yeah, it's going in C. Now, a zombie commander can be notoriously a little bit difficult to kill, a little bit tankier, may deal a little bit more damage. Doesn't really drop anything great. It's going in C. It's pretty standard. I think the max bestiary is 3k kills, which really isn't bad. It's just passive once again. We're just going to save some time. We're going to put Zombie Grunt in C, Zombie Knight, Zombie Lord, Zombie Soldier for the same reasons that we'll be putting the same equivalent, but for Skeleton. They're just pretty standard dungeon mobs that don't really drop anything great and aren't very hard to kill. And there's an abundance of them and so on. And that is the dungeon mobs. And we're going to move on to fishing mobs by the looks of it. Now, what I will say is, it is subjective. If you like dungeon mobs, if you like dungeons in general, then Dungeons Bestiary is going to be more enjoyable than what I think it will be. Therefore, all of these might just be bumped up a few tiers. That's understandable. I'm not really massively fond about dungeons, and I just think all these are pretty standard. Okay, so next up we have the Abyssal Miner. You can fish the Abyssal Miner up in the Crystal Hollows, in specific the Precursor Remnants, Mithril Deposits, and Jungle. The default chance to catch an Abyssal Miner is 0.37%, and when you actually do kill the mob, you have a 2% chance to drop a Bestiary 6 book, which is the main drop that you really want. The rest of the drops are gemstones. If you put a seller up, you can sell a Bestiary 6 book for 10 mil at the moment. Now, I personally don't have a kill, but the max bestiary is 250 as well, which is not really too bad at all. Sure, you do have to go out of your way to fish in the Crystal Hollows, but this really is not going to be too bad, especially with the prospect of making a decent amount of money back. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and put it in A. Assuming you have a good fishing setup, it's not going to be too bad at all. Okay, now moving on to Agaramu, you've got to fish them up in water. You've got to have an empty chum bucket by your side. It's around about a 16% chance to fish one of these up. But they don't really drop anything that's worthwhile. And also, if you're going to fish, fishing in water is just not really optimal. I mean, the same goes for the Abyssal Miner, but at least you can make money back from them. There's an actual purpose of doing it. With the Agaramu, there's just not. Water fishing is slow and pretty boring. I'm going to put it in a C. It's not the worst thing you'd have to do, and sure, you can, I guess, complete other bestiaries at the same time, like squid and other water things. Okay, Carrot King, you've got around about a 5% chance of fishing it up. When water fishing, you then have around about a 0.6% chance of dropping a Lucky Clover Core from that mob, which sells for about 4.5 million coins on the AH, so you can make a decent amount of money back from it. You also need 400 kills to max out the bestiary. It is just pretty mid. Now, I'd say maybe it's slightly better than a Agaramu, just simply because you can actually drop something that might make you a bit of money back. So because of that, I'm going to put it in B. Catfish, once again, a pretty standard fishing mob that doesn't really get you much back. Water fishing is not great, it's going in C. Okay, Deep Sea Protector. In terms of what you need to do in terms of drops, is very similar to the Carrot King. However, it's fished up a little bit less often. When killing the Deep Sea Protector, you have a chance at dropping a 50% fishing XP boost, which you can sell for 4 mil. But it's simply more rare than a Carrot King. I'm going to put it in C, just for that reason. Moving on to the Guardian Defender. Doesn't really drop anything. It's relatively rare in comparison to other fishing mobs that I've categorized in C. Yeah, I'm going to put it as D because you can't really drop anything from it, and it's relatively rare. I wouldn't say that it takes, I'm going to put it in C. I think D's a little bit mean. It's just pretty standard. Night Squid, it doesn't drop much. It's relatively common. It's going in C. Oasis Rabbit and Sheep. Well, you don't really have to pay attention here. You just have to fish in the Oasis. They don't really drop anything. However, they're relatively small bestiaries. They're going to go in C because that is the standard rating, and it's not really a painful bestiary to do in comparison to others. Poisoned Waterworm. You have about a 5% chance to catch it. You have to fish it in the Crystal Hollows. While water fishing, yeah, it's not a great bestiary. You need 1,000 kills. At the same time, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just a bit out of the way. I'm going to put it in D. Not terrible, but it's not great. Rider of the Deep, as standard as a fishing mob gets. It's going C. Sea Archer, also pretty standard. The only sort of extra thing is you have a potential to drop a bone die. However, it's so unlikely that it's not worth even really taking it into consideration. It's standard. It's a C. Okay, Sea Guardians going in C. Sea Leech is going in C. Sea Walker is going in C. And Sea Witch is also going in C. Squid's also going in C. A lot of these water sea creatures, other than the ones that you have to fish in a specific area for, you can kind of just do them all simultaneously. Water fishing isn't the best thing to do regardless, just because it's so boring and it's not as rewarding as lava fishing. It's all just pretty standard. Okay, next up, we're moving on to the Sea Emperor. The bestiary is only 100 to max it out. However, the base rate of catching it is only 0.2%, which isn't great. But at the same time, you can actually drop quite a few different things that are decent. For instance, like rare, epic, and legendary flying fish pets. An epic fishing XP boost, which is pretty good. Shredder isn't too bad. And for that reason, even though you can kind of just get this bestiary as you do the other bestiaries, and it is relatively rare, it's going to go in B because, I mean, you're going to be doing this sort of fishing anyway, and the Sea Emperor is going to give you probably one of the best chances of getting some decent loot. And the same is going to go for Water Hydra. It's around about double the chances of a Sea Emperor, although it is quadruple the kills to max the bestiary, which isn't the end of the world. It then gives you a chance at getting things like a Water Hydra head, which is pretty decent for money. That's a 14% chance. Got a Fish Affinity Talisman, which isn't the greatest, but then you've also got an epic fishing XP boost that you can drop, although it isn't the greatest odds ever. Now, this is probably a toss-up between a C and a B. It's probably somewhere right in between. I'm just going to put it in the B category, though. If I know that's unfair, it is slightly worse than Sea Emperor. I'm going to put it in C instead. Water Worm is going to go straight in C. Okay, now we're moving on to the lava fishing mobs. We start off with Fire Eel. And lava fishing is substantially better than water fishing. So I think I'm going to bump all of these lava fishing mobs up just simply because lava fishing is way more enjoyable than water fishing. And I just think it's a lot nicer to do. Also, you have the potential to make a lot of money. So Fire Eel is going to go in B. Flaming Worm is also going to go in B. Lava Flame is going to go in B. Lava Leech is going to go in B. Magma Slug is going to go in B. Mugma is going to go in B. Horus is going to go in B. For the most part, none of these really drop anything great. However, lava fishing is decent, and you get magma fish as you kill all of them. Magma fish you can then craft into rods, you can craft them together and make a lot of money. Money can be made, and lava fishing is better than water fishing, so they're all going in B. Almost forgot about the Pyroclastic Worm as well. Lava Blaze, you can only fish these up in the magma fields. You can get a Carmine dye and a Flame dye from these, however they are, of course, very, very rare. They don't really drop too much else. I'm going to put them in the C category. The Lava Pigman is going with it too. Moving on to Lord Jorbus. Now, Lord Jorbus is pretty much the ultimate lava fishing mob. If you kill Jorbus, you have a chance to drop a radioactive vial that at the moment sells for almost 250 million coins, which is ridiculously high. You need 250 kills to max out the bestiary, and to be honest, there is a little bit of RNG involved in this in regards to how long it'll take. The default chance to catch Lord Jorbus is 0.17%, which is not great, however you can fish very quickly with a good setup. His drops include a guaranteed Magma Lord Fragment, which sells for over 1 million coins, which is not really too bad at all. You've also got Magma Fish that are guaranteed to drop as well, 25 silver, which is pretty good. And then of course then you have a 0.3% chance to drop the radioactive vial. Now, what I will say is, number one, with Lord Jorbus, you're basically going to complete majority of this bestiary as you complete the rest of the lava fishing bestiary. So that's one good thing. You're not just having to go out of our way to do it. You have a chance at a very, very, very lucrative drop, and also some other decent drops. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in A. That's coming from someone who really doesn't mind lava fishing, so I guess this is kind of dependent on if you like fishing or not. Next up, we have the Flebglast. It's unlocked when you reach fishing level 36. It has a 0.1% chance to replace any sea creature fished up in the Flebglast pool. This chance is doubled to 0.2 when wearing a squid hat. Also, you're going to need a 100% sea creature chance to actually really do this anywhere near efficiently. You need a decent setup. Now, the max bestiary is only 7 kills, which doesn't seem too bad. However, I've heard horror stories of people trying to fish up one singular Flebglast, not for the bestiary, but it taking them literal hours upon hours upon hours. However, the max kills is 7, and when you look at the drop chances, it shouldn't be too bad. When weighing everything up, it seems like a pretty rubbish one to do, but considering the max kills is only 7, yeah, I'm going to put it in C. Thunder. So a Thunder's base chance is 1 in 115, which is 5 times more likely, on 5 times more common than a Jorbus. The max kills for the bestiary is 400. It doesn't drop as good things as Jorbus. You can drop attribute shards, thunder shards, silver magma fish, and of course the flash book. Now, it's not terrible considering you're going to get this done once again when you basically fishing in lava. You're going to get it done quicker than Jorbus. However, the actual, like, the speculation, the actual promise of dropping something that's really, really good isn't really there. But for that reason, we're going to put it in B. Okay, next up we have the Grim Reaper. It's from Spooky Fishing. The potential drops include a Deep Sea Orb, which you can sell for about 7.5 mil. Soul Fragments also sell for about 1.5 mil. So the drops aren't really too bad. Of course, the downside is you have to wait until Spooky Festival to even do this bestiary. You need 100 kills at a 0.37% chance. So I'm going to put this in C. Okay, next up we have the Nightmare, which is going to go in C. It's just another pretty standard Spooky Fishing bestiary. Phantom Fish is also going to go into C. It's a little bit of a lower chance to actually fish it up. However, the potential drops are slightly better. There is a Deep Sea Orb that you can get, which is about 7.5 mil. Then we have the Scarecrow, which is also going in C. Very, very similar to the Nightmare. It's just pretty much reskinned. Yeah, nothing much here either. We've got Werewolf, which is going in C. Another pretty standard one. The potential of dropping a Deep Sea Orb. Relatively rarer than a Scarecrow and Nightmare. Okay, and then we've got the Fishing Festival mobs. Like the sharks, the blue shark, great white, nurse, and tiger shark. Now, of course, the greatest reward is going to come from the great white shark. And everything else still offers, you know, other shark teeth. Now, of course, the great white shark is the rarest. And then we go to the tiger, then blue, and then nurse. Now, you're going to get all of these bestiaries done at around about the same time. Now, of course, you've got to kill more of the less rare mobs, and you've got to kill less of the more rare mobs, which only makes sense. But the fishing festival is really fun, in my opinion, especially when you're doing it with other people. It can make you a lot of money. I'm going to rate these pretty highly. I'm going to put everything else other than the Great White in A, because this is just personally what I think and what I enjoy. And then I'm going to put the Great White Shark in S+, which I can't even actually see. Not S+, I just meant S. Our first S. We've not got an S+ yet. We haven't got an E. And then we also don't have an L. So I'm sure that will come at some point. Okay, we're on to the winter fishing mobs. We've got Frosty, which is going to go in C, but pretty standard. Not really anything of note that they can drop. Same with Frozen Steve. Same with Grinch. The Grinch has a little bit of a lower chance to actually spawn. However, it really doesn't drop anything, and it doesn't really take a lot to max out that bestiary. Then we have the Nutcracker, guaranteed to drop a red gift. However, once again, it's nothing really to shout about too much. You're going to get this done while doing all of the other winter fishing mob bestiaries. Next up we have the Rain Drake. It only takes 100 kills to max out the bestiary, however it does have a pretty low percentage chance to actually spawn. Less than a 0.1%. 0.1 should I say. Now, it is just a fun mob. It is just fun. When it takes damage, it'll drop gifts. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in B, just because it's a little bit something different as opposed to the regular norms. Now, 100 might take a while to get. But yet again, if you're going to be maxing out the rest of the bestiaries, you're not going to be far off anyway. Actually, no. Yeah, I'm going to put it at C. Everything just goes at C, because I'm thinking, should it be B? And I'm thinking no, because if you look at the chances and how many you have to kill, that's probably actually going to take a while. You're probably going to finish the rest of the bestiaries before you finish this one. So yeah, I think it probably, a C is more deserved. Also, I don't like the fact that I've got so much in C, but these are all of the sort of relatively mid, not too difficult and not too hard ones to do, that are kind of worth it and kind of not. Alright, next up we're on to Yetis. Now, Yetis unlock at fishing 25, it's another winter fishing mob. At base, they have about a 0.4% chance to be caught, which is not really that bad, considering the max kills is 250. Not going to take anywhere near as long as Rain Drake if we're looking at the odds and the max kills. Now, you can use a Yeti rod to increase your chances and an Auger rod to increase your chances even more. With Whale Bait, it's almost a 1%, which is really not bad. And you look at the loot, and there's so many decent things you can drop. Red Gift isn't really not too bad. Epic Baby Yeti Pet is not bad. Legendary Baby Yeti Pet. And considering the actual chances and the amount of money you can make, this really is not a bad bestiary to do at all. Probably make quite a lot of money along the way, and yeah, it's definitely not going at C. I think I'm actually going to put this alongside the Great White Shark at S. I know Yeti prices are sometimes a bit all over the place, and they've probably dropped quite a lot because a lot of people have realised that Yeti fishing makes a lot of money. However, it's still fun, it's something different, and I just like it. And if you like grinding the mob that you're trying to max the bestiary out for along the way, then that just makes it even better. Anyway, we're on to Diana mobs now, and straight up we have Gaia Constructs. Yeah, unless you have a Hyperion, a Gaia Construct is quite annoying to kill. It's 3,000 kills to max the bestiary, and they don't drop Chimera. They don't drop a Quick Claw. They drop, what is it, a Tiger Plushie, Antique Remedies, and a Dwarf Turtle Shelmet. Honestly, I'd say this is worse than a C. Maybe it's a D, or it might even be an E. I really do have a vendetta against Gaia Constructs, so it's going in E. Honestly, now that I think about it, I'm even considering bumping it down to an L. If we don't have anything in L at the end of the video, that'll be the first one to be moved. Next up we have the Minus Champion. They have the possibility to drop a Minus Relic, which is 34 mil, which would be a great dub. You need 1,000 kills to max out the bestiary. Honestly, this is pretty good, substantially better than a Gaia's Construct. Now sure, the possibility of dropping the Minus Relic is incredibly rare. When you compare it to other items, an Antique's Remedy is still a 0.05% chance. But if you're chasing that Chimera, it's something you're pretty much going to have to kill on the way. I'm going to put it at C. Yeah, I think that's probably right. It may be no C, not a B. Okay, next up we have Minus Hunter. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. You're gonna have to do it anyway when you're doing Diana, so it is what it is. You can't really drop anything from it, which kind of makes me want to bump the Minus Champion up to a B because you actually have the potential of dropping something. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Okay, I just put the Inquisitor at S and the recording didn't record properly. I don't really know. Anyway, you have a chance to drop Chimera. They sell for 150 mil. With a lot of Magic Find, it's easily doable. The max kills is 100. You have roughly like a 1 in 70 to get an Inquisitor. And from that, you have a 1% chance to drop a Chimera and other things. It deserves to be an S. Now, next up we have Minotaur. This is how you get the Daedalus Stick. The max bestiary is 1,000 and it spawns relatively frequently in comparison to an Inquisitor. You're probably going to get this done quicker than Inquisitor's bestiary. It's really not a bad one to do. You're going to be doing Diana anyway. I'm going to put it relatively high. I think it's pretty deserving of something like an A because, well, I know a lot of people who get a lot of Daedalus Sticks. Plus, Diana is just fun to do. You know what I was saying before about potentially things like they're in B could be in C and D and so on. I feel like we could potentially have the Champion and the Minotaur on the same level. But, I don't know. That's just the way I see it. There's going to be some crossover, and I think I might revise it a bit later too. Okay, next up we have Siamese Lynx. It's going in C. It's a pretty standard Diana mob. You can get the standard drops from it, and not really anything else. Okay, next up we have Purple, Green, Golden, and Blue Jerry. If you really do actually just properly play one Jerry event, you could probably get all of these done quite easily. It's a really easy bestiary to do. You can make a decent amount of money on the way. Yeah, there's not really anything bad about this at all. Plus, it's something that's going to get done when you're simply just doing other aspects of combat. Like, this has got to be rated pretty high just because of the ease. I'm going to put them in A because of just how easy and you can make a decent amount of money. Also, I don't know where Green Jerry went to. Green would go here too as well, because why not? Okay, the Blazing Golem. We're on to Kuudra. The Blazing Golem spawns in the later phases of Kuudra. It doesn't really drop anything. If you're efficient at Kuudra, then there's a good chance that you won't even reach these Blazing Golems. However, Kuudra is pretty good to do. It can make you a lot of money. This isn't really a bad mob to have to kill. However, if you do it efficiently, you don't really end up seeing these. So just for that reason, I don't know, it's probably somewhere in between a C and a D. I'll probably put it at a C because Kuudra itself is pretty decent to do anyway. It's somewhat passive. It's not completely passive, it's somewhat passive. Now, as for Blights, majority of the time it's the CC who kills the Blights. However, it's not a difficult bestiary to do at all. I'm going to put it in C. Now, Dropship can be a bit of an annoying bestiary to do because dropships don't spawn until later on in Kuudra. They take a decent amount to kill as well, and you need 300 to max the bestiary. I'm going to put Dropship in D. Next up, we have an Explosive Imp. An Explosive Imp will spawn when a Kuudra Berserker dies. The version that spawns in directly based on the tier of the fight, as seen below. They don't really drop anything. Kuudra Berserkers are easy to kill. You need to kill 3,000. It's really a standard bestiary. And for that reason, it's surprise, surprise, it's going to go in C. Inferno Magma Cube is another one that's pretty standard. It's just going to get done while playing Kuudra. It doesn't really drop anything. The same goes for Kuudra Berserker and also Kuudra Follower. The same goes for Kuudra Knocker. A lot of these are relatively easy to kill. Not just kill, just complete the bestiary. They don't really bring a massive amount in terms of loot, although if you're playing Kuudra, they're going to get done, and you don't really have to think about it. I've just realised I have put all of those in D, and they should be going in C, so I'll fix it, don't worry. I'll fix my own mistake, well done. And realistically, the same again kind of goes for the Kuudra Landmine. It's just a pretty standard Kuudra Bestiary along with the Kuudra Slasher and also the Magma Follower. Wandering Blaze can be a little bit more difficult to kill, but it's not really anything too difficult. Now what I will just say is the Magma Follower might be a little bit different. The max bestiary is only 30 as opposed to everything else which is in the thousands, and it's something that you might have to go out of your way to actually go ahead and complete. Now I've done a decent amount of Kuudra and I've maxed the majority of the bestiaries, but I don't have a single Magma Follower kill. And if they're not killed, that's when an Omega Magma spawns. Now, personally, I think these are probably relatively okay in terms of maxing the bestiary. It's just something that you have to go out of your way to do, because you wouldn't usually really even be needing to kill any of these. Like, I don't even have a single kill. It's still a C, but for kind of different reasons. Now, the Wither Sentry has a pretty small amount of kills to max the bestiary. It does an immense amount of damage. It usually spawns towards the end of Kuudra. It's almost similar to a dropship, and for that case, it's almost similar to a Magma Follower. I'm tempted to put Magma Follower in D rather than C, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. Because with every other Kuudra bestiary, you can kind of just get away with doing Kuudra, whereas with these three, you've kind of got to go out of your way to then complete them. And sure, you could probably end up maybe doing some of them at the same time, but they're just a little bit annoying. And you know what? That's fine. They can go in D. We've got so many in C anyway. Okay, Island Skeleton. An Island Skeleton, you only need 200 kills to max the bestiary, which is going to take no time at all. You've got the chance to drop a bone die. Honestly, I just think for the speed of the bestiary, it should at least be a C. I don't really think it should be anything more, because it's just basically a freebie. And a similar sort of thing is going to go for the Hub Wolf. It's going to go into C. Now, Headless Horseman can be a pretty annoying one to grind. I mean, if you're doing it solo, it's going to set you back a lot of money. It's going to be a D for me, I think. Graveyard Villager is a C. It's really standard. Chicken, standard. Cow, standard. Mushroom Cow, standard. All of these bestiaries are really, really easy to max out because they don't require a lot at all. Deep is... They're all going in C because they don't belong anywhere else. They all are C. And now we're on to the Garden Pests. Yeah, let's have a look at these. Okay, so for instance, like a beetle, it can drop a mutant netherwort, which is a decent amount of money. Pest Terminator 1, which I think is between 1 and 1.5 million. You do have a decent chance to get some decent drops. And considering it's only 250 kills to max the bestiary out, it's not too bad. However, where you categorize all of these is basically going to be heavily dependent on if you like farming or not. And while sure you don't, I mean, just simply collecting your pests isn't actively farming. To get those pests to spawn, yeah, you get where I'm going. Also, it also means that you have to be on your garden, and I guess some people would just rather not. Having said that, Beetle can fetch you a decent amount of money. It's not too difficult to do. It doesn't take too long to max out. To be completely honest, I think it may even be a B, because it's so easy to do. Also, if you're farming, this goes hand in hand. You're gonna end up, if you're farming, you're gonna max the bestiary basically, or you're gonna get close. I'm gonna put a cricket in C just simply because you can't make as much money from a cricket as opposed to a beetle. The farming process is the same. The bestiary process is the same. It's still the same amount. You just can't get as much back. You know what? I've had a change of mind. I think all the pests are going to go in B, just because they're so easy to do. If you're farming, they're going to get done anyway, so regardless of how much you make back from each individual pest, I think they probably are deserving of being in B, if I'm being completely honest. Island Slime can easily be put in C. Now, Arachne and the mobs that spawn in when Arachne is spawned, Arachne can actually make a decent amount of money. However, 500 to max the bestiary is relatively long. You only have to spend minimal amounts of money to actually go ahead and spawn Arachne. It's relatively standard. There's going to be more painful mini bosses to go ahead and max out the bestiary for, and there's going to be easier ones. I'm going to put it at a base C. I think that's probably about right. As for Arachne's Brood, it's going in C again. Relatively easy to max. Island Spider's also going in C. Very standard. You don't get anything from it. very quick. Yeah. Now, we're on to the Broodmother. Now, the Broodmother only spawns every 10 minutes, and you need 400 kills to max the bestiary. Meaning that if you didn't lobby swap and you non-stop did a Broodmother, it would take you around about 66.6 hours to max it out, which for a bestiary like this is a long time. Now, sure, you can lobby swap, and you might get a bit luckier, but that's a pretty long time to max a bestiary, especially when the prospects of loot is not the greatest. Could be worse. You could get a spider talisman, you get a treble scroll, you could even get a legendary tarantula pet, but it's not amazing. I think just given the pure amount of time that it actually takes, probably got to go in the D, and I think I'm going to have to revise some of these other things that I've put in the D category. I think they need to be moved down. Things like dropship and wither sentry, I think, and maybe even horseless headman, because it costs a lot of money, needs to be moved down. Now, the dasher spider is relatively easy to max. You can drop a tarantula pet, it's going in C. Okay, next up we're moving on to the gravel skeleton. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's a skeleton, you could drop a bone die. Yeah, it is standard, it is a C. Maybe I should start being more critical so we don't end up with so many in C, I don't really know. Rain slime, okay, so obviously that spawns in the rain, and it's a slime in the spider's den. The bestiary, I think you need 1,000 to max it out. Pretty standard, once again. Glitter, spider, silverfish, relatively easy. The bestiary was actually nerfed a while back from 40k kills to 10k kills, which is even nicer. Spider jockey, once again, they spawn relatively often. It's going in C. Also put this in the wrong category, that's going back in C. Splitter spider, C. We've got the voracious spider and the splitter spider, which make up majority of the spiders in the spider's den. Both of them are near a 10k bestiary, yet really, really easy. Basically, just kill. Dragon. Who doesn't love doing dragons? Sure, it can be expensive, and sure, 1k is quite a lot. But dragons are fun to do, right? Dragons are fun. I'd like to do dragons, and I don't think dragon would be a bad bestiary to max. It would probably take quite a while, which would probably prevent me from putting it higher, but you've got the potential to drop. Even an epic ender dragon pet is hundreds of millions, and a legendary is almost a billion. So for me, the dragon has got to go above a C, which is not the usual. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put it in A. It isn't higher just because it will take quite a while to max the bestiary, but you've got a potential to make a lot of money. You also have potential to lose a lot of money, so I guess this is probably a gambler's bestiary. Island, which is relatively easy to go ahead and max. And regular Enderman is also pretty easy to max. Now, Endermite is actually pretty decent, because from the Endermite, you drop the Might Gel, and Might Gel you can actually turn into a decent early game money making method. So I'm not going to put Endermite C. I think I'm going to put it a bit higher, probably at B. And to B it goes. There we go. Endstone Protector Bestiary takes quite a long time to max, I've heard. Yeah, quite a while. There's not really, I mean, you can drop a tier boost core, so that's some prospect. I think it's fair to probably put it in D. I was going to put it in E, but you can drop a tier boost core, and I guess that is the saving grace. Now, Obsidian Defender is relatively easy to max. In terms of drops, there's nothing crazy. But if you're grinding Zealots, you're going to end up maxing this anyway, if you're grinding the normal Zealots, that is. Voidling Extremists, you can drop Summoning Eyes from these as well, not just Zealots, which is pretty cool. I'm going to put this high because everyone at some point is going to have to do Enderman Slayer. That means you're going to have to kill these extremists, which means that you're going to max this simultaneously. It's literally like it's going to happen. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's not like you have to go out of the way for it. And I guess being able to drop Summoning Eyes is maybe a bit of an added extra. So for me, this goes into B. It's nothing crazy, but it's pretty decent. You know, if you're a regular player grinding Summoning Eyes, you're not going to go for Voidling Extremists because you might as well just chill out in like the Zealot Bruiser area and just not have to deal as much damage. Well, Voidling Fanatic is also going in B. Once again, if you're doing Enderman Slayer, which everyone will at some point, you're going to max this bestiary out without thinking about it. You've got a chance to drop a legendary and an epic Enderman pet too. Who wouldn't want a legendary Enderman pet? Yeah, it's not a bad bestiary. It's passive, really. You're going to do Enderman Slayer at some point. Watcher is going to go at C. It's just very similar to the Obsidian Defender. Zealots got to go high because you can make a lot of money from Zealots, especially for earlier game players. I'm probably going to put it at S because, I mean, it just makes sense to put it at S. Like, people like do this as a money-making method, and the fact that you're going to get bestiary at the same time means it really is completely passive. Now, of course, like, if you're later game, you're not going to be messing around grinding Zealots, but you're still going to get some summoning eyes and make some money, and they're a really easy kill. You can simply just right-click with Hyperion, especially with the Zealot Bruisers as well. Yeah, it really is a good bestiary. In my opinion, if you disagree, that's fine. It's just my opinion. Okay, next up we have Ashfang. Now, don't get me wrong, Ashfang will take quite a while to max. Even if you are doing Ashfang efficiently, realistically, with downtime and switching lobbies and getting set back up with your party, it's probably going to be 5 minutes a run, at best. Yeah, maybe 4 minutes, but we'll say 5 minutes, shall we? Yeah, it's 1,000 kills to max, meaning that at 5 minute a run, that's going to be 83 hours if you do it non-stop, which is a long time. However, what I will say is you can make a lot of money from Ashfang. People can make easily 20 to 30 mil an hour if you can do it efficiently and have a little bit of luck on your side. So there's drawbacks, it takes a while, and there's also the plus side to it is you'll make a lot of money while doing it. Which means that I do think I'm going to put it in C. But not just because it's a standard bestiary to max, because it's not. It has some pretty bad, disadvantages, but some pretty good advantages at the same time. I don't think it's a bestiary I'd want to max, but at the same time, you could make a lot of money. It is a C. Barbarian Duke is an interesting one. Barbarian Duke it's not going to take you quite as long as Ashfang. You can make money from Barbarian Duke. You can craft Gauntlet of Contagions, making between 15 to 20 million coins an hour kind of passively. If you have a Hyperion, Barbarian Duke is incredibly easy to kill. You can probably kill it within 20 seconds. Barbarian Duke for me is better than a C. I think it's probably going to go in B. If Ashfang's a C, then Barbarian Duke is slightly better in my opinion. Island Zombie is going to be a C. That's pretty easy. Blade Soul is going to be a C. You don't get anything crazy from Blade Soul. You can get Kuudra keys. You can maybe even get... what's the Reforged Stone that you can get from like the mini bosses? The Magma Urchin. I believe that's quite expensive at the moment as well. So that is something. At the same time, 1,000 Blade Soul kills to max the bestiary is going to take you a while. Of course, it makes sense to do it kind of in a circuit between the other mini bosses. It's a C for me though. And you know what? And Ashfang's being moved down. If Blade Soul's a C and Barbarian Duke is a B, Ashfang is not like, it's more painful to do than Blade Soul, even though you can get more from it. It's going to be a D. I'm moving it down. Blaze is just be a C. It's standard once again. Flaming Spiders don't really drop anything crazy. They are quite easy to kill. That's going to be a C. Now, Flares, not for what they drop, but just more the amount of combat XP that they give. If you're rocking an Implosion Belt and a Hyperion and a Gauntlet of Contagion, you can basically, once you kill one Flare, it counts for multiple. Flares are not a bad bestiary to max, even though it will take a while. Plus, the amount of XP you can get from killing Flares, in terms of maybe it's leveling your combat up or leveling a pet, maybe even a golden dragon, it can make you a lot of money along the way, which makes this a pretty good bestiary to max. I'm going to go ahead and put Flare in A. I think for me that's probably right. Don't get me wrong, it is pretty boring and repetitive, but isn't everything else here? Gas are pretty easy to kill once you get the hang of it. Go in C. Cadonite is pretty standard. You're going to get some Cadolides. Might be able to craft some things with it. As with pretty much everything else you can from the Crimson Isles here, it's not really too bad. It's pretty standard once again. Mage Outlaw is going to be... I'm going to categorize it as pretty similar to Blade Soul. It's not too bad to do at all. It's going to be a C. Magma Boss has got to be down there. It takes a while. It takes a while to do. Each Magma Boss is going to take you a few minutes, and you don't really have a choice. You can't do it quicker, which is the annoying thing. Now, you don't have the potential to make as much money realistically as you can from Ashfang. Maybe it's a similar amount of time to Ashfang to max it, but it really is worse. It's going to be an E for me, Magma Boss. Even though I quite enjoy it, maybe doing a couple here and there, it's really not bad, especially how you can do a lot of damage to it. Maxing the bestiary though, it just isn't it. Magma Cube, standard, once again, it's going to be a C. Magma Cube Rider is going to be right alongside it. Gonna be a C as well. Crypt Ghoul for me is got to be pretty high, actually. It's got to be higher than a C, just purely because I have a bit of a soft spot for revs, and the Crypt Ghoul bestiary is very easy to max, even though it's quite a lot of kills. If you're doing revs, you're going to max it so quick. In terms of drops, there's not really much. But yeah, I think with something like a Voidling, Extremist and Fanatic, it's got to be up there. It's got to be a B for me. And also Golden Ghoul's got to be there as well, because it's basically the same thing, even though it's not. Golden Ghoul's going to be slightly less because they're less common. They don't really drop anything. It's all revs. Okay, Macho. I'm tempted to put it at a D, just purely because you have to wait till the volcano erupts to be able to actually do this bestiary. Having said that, if you're just kind of in and around the Crimson Isles, probably relatively easy to get it done. But if you're literally grinding for this bestiary specifically, which you would never really do, it would be pretty bad. It's somewhere between a D and a C. I'm going to put it at D. Millennia Aged Blaze and Smouldering Blaze. Millennia Age Blaze and Smouldering Blaze, you have the potential to drop a Flame Die, which realistically probably isn't going to happen unless you're really lucky. You can drop a Smouldering Book. You're going to need to kill these while doing Blaze Slayer. So I'm going to categorize them as somewhere similar to a Crypt Ghoul or a Voidling Fanatic. I think putting them in B probably makes sense, to be honest. Now, from killing the mushroom bulls, you have the chance to drop digested mushrooms. In turn, you can then craft that into a mushroom pet, which can either be epic or legendary, making you a little bit of money. Well, that really does depend on your RNG and sort of whether you get legendary or epic. And maybe potentially categorize this as a C, maybe even a B, just because they are really easy to kill. And also, you have the potential to make a bit of money back. However, I think that's probably the same as a lot of items that I've already put in C. And yeah, I think it's probably a C. Wait, I've put that in D. I keep doing that. The new row. Tentacle Bestiary. All I have to say is yikes. 1,000 tentacle kills, to be completely honest, is incredibly tedious to do. You don't really get anything from it. At the same time, it's not inherently bad. It's just really boring. So it's going to be a D, I think. Now, Vanquisher for me has got to be up there, just simply because the only way to actually do Vanquisher Bestiary is just simply to kill things in the Crimson Isles. Now, killing flares works really well to get Vanquishers. Spider Slayer works well to get Vanquishers. It's incredibly passive. Vanquisher for me has got to go pretty high. I think it's got to go alongside flares in A, to be completely honest. Also, you're going to get stars from it, which basically means you can do more Kuudra, you can get more teeth, you can open more. It's imperative. Vanquisher is, in my opinion, rightfully an A. Wither Skeleton's going to go to C, along with Wither Spectre. Along with Emerald Slime, we're going into the Dwarven Mines area. Not even the Dwarven Mines. What is the area before the Dwarven Mines? The Deep Caverns, how could I forget? These bestiaries are not big at all. They're very small and relatively quick to max. Sure, you might not really be able to drop anything great from any of these. But yeah, they're all just going to go ahead and go into C. Now, Ghost Bestiary can make you a lot of money. It's definitely not going to be a C. It's going to be higher up there. Now, don't get me wrong. You need a lot of ghost kills to max out the bestiary. It's going to take you a long time. It's going to take you quite a while. 250k kills to be exact, but if you do max that bestiary, you're going to make a ton of money. Of course, from the Sorrows. Now, looking at it, you might think a 0.12% chance is not great, but realistically, when you actually do ghosts, when you actually grind ghosts, it's always good to have a lot of magic find. That 0.12% chance is going to be much higher. Plus, you can kill multiple ghosts per second. They're very readily available. Yeah, it is just a dub. And for that reason, even though it's relatively boring, it'll take you a long time to max. You'll make a ton of money. I'm going to put Ghost. I mean, I'm in between an A and an S, but I think I'm going to put it in S. The Bestiary for the Glaciite Caver, the Mage, and also the Bowman are all going to go in C, because realistically, if you get Heart of the Mountain 10, and you do all of the commissions, at the base camp and in the glacial caves, then you're going to have to basically kill these mobs anyway. Especially when you go to a mine shaft, it's kind of rude not to kill them. Same with the mutt. I also almost missed it. Graveyard zombies are just easy to kill, really quick to do. You don't drop anything from them, it's a C. Ice Walker, I'm going to put in B, because there is a potential to make a little bit of money from it early game, plus it's not really a very long bestiary to max. Goblin is going in C. Same with Goblin Raider, because it's all pretty standard. You can make a bit of money early game from it relatively quick. It's nothing crazy though. Now, Golden Goblin, you need 400 to max the bestiary. Is it 400? Yeah, 400 to max the bestiary. While it's not difficult, all you have to do is mine. It is just annoying. I'm actually stuck between a D and an E. I think it's gonna go in D. Diamond Goblin as well. I didn't even mean to categorize that. We'll do that next. Diamond Goblin is gonna suffer the same fate. Kind of just as annoying. And what I would say is for Diamond Goblins, there isn't as you only have to kill 100 to max the bestiary, but at the same time, they spawn more frequently. Oh, sorry, Golden Goblins spawn more frequently. So yeah. Next up, we have the Powderghast. Basically, when a player mines Mithril Block, there is a base 0.02% chance, which is a 1 in 5,000 chance a Powderghast will spawn, provided one has not spawned in the past 10 minutes. This is not really a fun bestiary to max. You need 200 kills to max it. Obviously, there's other people competing to kill it as well. This one just is a little bit annoying. It's going to go in D. Star Sentry is pretty annoying too. You need 1,000 kills and the hits based. They run away, they jump into the ghast area. I'm just not a fan of Star Sentries, therefore it's going into the D category. Treasure Hoarders, they used to make a decent amount of money. They don't really anymore. I guess for really early game it might not be a bad thing to grind. Obviously they're very easy to kill, they have low HP, but they just spawn very infrequently. They're a little bit annoying. I don't really know whether to put it in C or D. I'm going to put it in C because it's not the worst thing ever, but 4,000 kills is a little bit steep. Now, Automaton Bestiary is pretty long. It's 10,000 kills. It's a relatively long one to max out. However, you can make a decent amount of money from killing automatons. I think if I put Treasure Hoarders in C, Automaton has also got to go in C. So, Bal. Well, from Bal, you have the chance to drop a Bal pet. Of course, Bal is a mini-boss in the Crystal Hollows. Killing Bal will give you the Topaz Crystal. Now, 250 Bal kills to max out the Bestiary, and that probably could take you a decent amount of time. You do have the chance to drop items at the same time. Like I said, the Bal pet is pretty much what you're looking for. It's going to take you a while, as with pretty much all mini-bosses. However, I think I'm going to go ahead and put it into the C category. Now, next we're on to butterflies. We need 1,000 butterfly kills to max out the bestiary. They can be found in fairy grottos in the Crystal Hollows. Now, it is pretty out of the way and it is in a pretty niche scenario. I'm going to put butterfly in D. To be honest, I've never ever attempted butterfly bestiary or even thought about it. There's a possibility that it should even deserve to be lower, but I'm going to put it in the D category because I feel like that's probably maybe about right. It could be lower. Old Wolf is going to go in C, quick to max out. Yogg is pretty standard. Pack Spirits are pretty standard, along with Howling Spirits, also pretty standard. Howling Spirits, that writing is so small, and I should probably be wearing my glasses. Grunts or Team Treasurite members. Now, you can drop a Treasurite. There's a few decent items you can drop from it. 4,000 is a decent amount as well. They are a little bit weird in the way that they spawn. Sometimes they can be annoying to find. I'm just going to put it in C. It's not the worst thing you could do, but it's also probably not the most enjoyable. Now moving on to Key Guardian. Found in the jungle. You need 250 kills to max out the bestiary. I'm going to put this in D just because you've got to be in the jungle, and I feel like they could be quite annoying. Once again, I could be wrong. This could be relatively easy. I've just never attempted Key Guardian bestiary in my life. Sludges will be pretty easy. They'll be a pretty easy one to max. The same with Island Creepers. There will not be really a big bestiary. Okay, next up, Fist Bestiary. Now, Fist Bestiary is a 4K collection to max. It's a 4K bestiary, which is quite a lot considering the way that this actually spawn is when you mine amethyst gemstones in the Crystal Hollows. Honestly, I feel like this could be a pretty annoying one to max because I feel like I've gone on dry streak sometimes, even though it is a relatively high % chance to drop. Yeah, 4K seems quite a lot. It feels like it could be quite tedious, and for that reason, it's going to go in D. Okay, I'm not quite sure where the Scather bestiary is, but we have Worm, and of course Worm and Scather bestiary are two different things. But for the sake of this, we're going to say the Worm bestiary is the Scather bestiary because, well, I guess more people are going to be intrigued to know where you would put a Scather bestiary instead of a Worm bestiary. Not sure where it's gone. Now, of course, Scathers can drop a Scather pet. Scather can be found in the crystal holes when mining. There is a 1 in 600 chance for a worm to spawn when breaking hardstone in the tunnel, and a 20% chance of it turning into a Scather. The chance is increased by 23% upon unlocking Enderman Slayer 9. And then, of course, the loot table, when you actually do hit the jackpot of getting a Scather, you then only have a 0.24% chance of getting a rare Scather, 0.12 of epic, and a 0.04 of a legendary. Now, Scather bestiary is going to be a pretty long one to max out. Sometimes you can go quite a while without getting a worm, never mind a Scather. And then of course you've got to roll the dice and get incredibly lucky even to get a rare Scather, never mind epic or legendary. However, with good RNG, when Scather mining, you can make billions upon billions of coins, which means realistically, regardless of if you don't get a Scather or not, it will be worth the risk. Which means for me, I think it's got to go up in S. Now you might have noticed I don't have anything in L, and I also don't have anything in S+. When we've categorised these last two bestiaries, I'm going to pick one thing from S to be S+, and one thing from E to be L. Soul of the Alpha can go in C, along with Crazy Witch. That is a Spooky Festival mob, although it somehow ended up in a bit of a weird order. That is most of the bestiaries, because I know there's a couple that aren't in here, but that is most of the bestiaries. It's pretty difficult to actually make something like this, where you can go through a whole tier list of every bestiary in the game. The process involves going through every single bestiary actually in game and then double checking it with the wiki, and then getting an actual image for each individual item, and then putting text over it so you can actually differentiate and know what is what. It's not an easy process, and I did have a lot of help when doing it, so you know who you are, thank you very much, because it was a massive help. But anyway, for the most part, this is, I'm going to say, a good 99% of the bestiaries. So, what we now have is we need to decide what is S+, and we need to decide what is L. I haven't done this on purpose, this is just how it's worked out. And I said at the start of the video, towards the start, when I was talking about the Gaia construct, or the Gaia construct, it's not a Gaia, if there's going to be one singular item that isn't already in L that's in E, basically I'm putting the Gaia's constructs in L. That is an L. You know, it's opinion based. I just don't like Gaia constructs. It was even more apparent when I tried to do Diana on my Iron Man that they were just horrible to kill. And now I need to decide. We've got Great White Shark, Yeti, Minus Inquisitor, Zealot, Ghast, and Worm. Realistically, in terms of the bestiary, Worm takes too long to max, so does Ghast. Yeti's relatively quick to max, however in terms of money it's not as good as the others. Inquisitor is straight up RNG, and Zealot just doesn't make as much as Great White Shark. So, in my opinion, Great White Shark is going to S+. Most people probably won't agree with me, but that's fine, because this is my opinion, and it's what it is. But this is my finished tier list. I'm going to scroll through it so you can kind of see it all at once. Like I said, you might not agree. That's perfectly fine. I'm sure I don't need to say it, and there's probably people like shouting at the screens like, why is that there and why is that there? But let me know in the comments. Well, what would you have categorized differently? You know, every single person would have put one of them in a different category. So anyway, if you can look past that, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.